When Gloria walked into the pastor's office that fateful afternoon, she had no idea her life was about to change forever. What she thought would be a simple conversation about her future quickly became a battle for her safety, her dignity, and ultimately, her freedom. But what makes Gloria's story so important isn't just her bravery, it's the lesson it holds for every parent out there who believes their children are safe just because they are at church. This is a true story, and though some of the details may be uncomfortable, it's necessary. It's a lesson in why it's so important for parents to know exactly what's going on in their children's lives, no matter how busy or distracted they may be. Gloria had always been a bright, ambitious girl. The kind of teenager who naturally drew people in with her charm, intelligence, and deep faith. Her parents, hardworking and devoted, had raised her to believe that the church was a sanctuary, a place where she could grow spiritually and morally. They had no reason to doubt Pastor Julius, the man they had entrusted with their daughter's spiritual guidance. He was a revered figure, a man whose sermons could bring a congregation to tears, a man who carried himself with an air of righteousness. But beneath the polished suits, the eloquent speeches, and the warm smiles, something far more sinister lurked. From the outside, Gloria's life seemed perfect. She had loving parents, good grades, and a promising future. Her mother, a meticulous and no-nonsense woman, ensured that Gloria was always on the right path. Her father, a successful businessman, believed in discipline and hard work. Together, they raised Gloria with strong values. But in their devotion to ensuring she grew up right, they also trusted others, especially the church, to guide her in ways they couldn't. Pastor Julius had been in their lives for as long as Gloria could remember. He had baptized her, prayed for her during tough school exams, and even counseled her parents through their marriage struggles. So, when he took a special interest in Gloria, it wasn't alarming. If anything, her parents were honored that such a respected man saw something special in their daughter. It began subtly, almost too subtly to be noticed. A warm handshake that lasted a second too long, an intense gaze that lingered when no one else was looking. At first, Gloria brushed it off. After all, he was a man of God. Maybe she was imagining things. Maybe she was reading too much into it. Then came the compliments. "Gloria, you're such a bright young woman," he would say after church services. "God has placed something special in you. You're different from the other girls." His words filled her with pride. She wanted to be special. She wanted to make a difference. But soon, the compliments shifted. They became more personal, more intrusive. "You're maturing into a beautiful young woman, Gloria." His voice would drop just a bit lower when he said it, his eyes scanning her in a way that made her stomach churn. She tried to convince herself it was nothing, that he was just being kind. After all, Pastor Julius was someone her entire family trusted. But something about the way he spoke to her, the way he touched her arm when no one was looking, felt wrong. Then came the invitation that changed everything. One Sunday after service, Pastor Julius asked Gloria to stay behind. "There's something important I want to discuss with you," he said. "It's about your future in the ministry." She hesitated. Something inside her whispered that she should say no. But how could she? He was a pastor. He had guided her, supported her, and spoken so highly of her potential. So, she stayed. The office was quiet when she stepped in, the heavy wooden door clicking shut behind her. The scent of old books and polished furniture filled the room. Pastor Julius sat behind his desk, smiling warmly. "You know, Gloria, I see so much promise in you," he began, his voice smooth. I believe God has called you for something great. Gloria's heart swelled with pride. She had always wanted to do something meaningful with her life. Maybe this was God's way of guiding her. But then, he leaned forward, his eyes darkening. You trust me, don't you? She nodded slowly, a prickle of unease crawling up her spine. You know, in ministry, there are things you can't learn in school, he continued. Things that only a mentor can teach you. The air in the room felt heavier. Gloria swallowed hard, shifting uncomfortably in her seat. Something about his tone had changed. Then he reached out, his fingers lightly grazing her arm. I can teach you, Gloria. But you have to be open. You have to trust me completely. Her throat tightened. Every fiber of her being screamed that something was wrong. But her mind fought against it. This was Pastor Julius. He couldn't. But then his hand slid down her arm, his grip tightening. You're so special to me, Gloria. You have no idea how much I care about you. Panic surged through her veins. Her breathing became shallow. This was wrong. She had to get out, now. Gloria sprang to her feet, her chair scraping loudly against the wooden floor. I think I should go now, she stammered, stepping back toward the door. Pastor Julius stood too, blocking her path. His face was still calm, but his eyes held something dark. Something dangerous. Gloria, he said, his voice soft but firm. Don't be like this. I'm only trying to guide you. You want to be a woman of God, don't you? She felt her stomach drop. This wasn't guidance. This wasn't spiritual mentorship. This was something else entirely. Without thinking, she shoved past him, her heart pounding. She yanked the door open and ran out of the office, down the hall, out into the church courtyard. The fresh air hit her like a slap, but she didn't stop. She ran all the way home, tears blurring her vision. At home, Gloria didn't hide what had happened. She burst into the living room, gasping for breath, and spilled everything to her parents. At first, there was silence. Then, disbelief. Her father's face turned pale, his hands curling into fists. Pastor Julius, he repeated, as if saying the name again would make the accusation sound less real. Her mother's face was unreadable, but her silence was deafening. And then, just as quickly, the silence broke. We need to do something, her mother said, her voice still. Her father wasted no time. He called church elders, respected community leaders, and even the authorities. If there was one thing he would never allow, it was for his daughter to be preyed upon. What happened next sent shockwaves through the entire church. As news of Gloria's experience spread, more girls, some younger, some older, came forward. Each story was eerily similar. Pastor Julius had used his position to manipulate, to control, and to exploit. He had hidden in plain sight, masked by the trust of the congregation. The church elders, horrified and betrayed, took immediate action. An investigation was launched. Pastor Julius was removed from his position and arrested. But the damage had been done. Families who once trusted him blindly now questioned everything. How had they missed the signs? How had they allowed him such unchecked power? Gloria's courage had saved others from falling into the same trap. But the scars of betrayal ran deep. It took time, years, for her to heal, to trust again. But through it all, she knew one thing: she had done the right thing by speaking up. Her story is a reminder to every parent, every guardian, trust is not enough. Just because someone wears the cloak of righteousness does not mean they are righteous. Pay attention. Ask questions. Listen to your children. Because sometimes, the greatest danger isn't in the places we fear, but in the places we trust the most. And sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is simply speak up. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories. And please like this video, leave a comment and share it to your friends.